Um, Welcome back for Web 357. Starting with Web. This is technically the last lecture of the semester, and I think this is probably going to be the most fun one. What I wind up doing is I wind up telling you about compression in a way that's not dealing with a lot of computer science, but just kind of fun. So I call it wrecking the GIF. I call it Wrecking the GIF, and basically it was taught to me by a Wisconsin-American artist by the name of A. Bill Miller, who's a good friend of mine. So what we're going to do is this. We are going to make an animated GIF of maybe 30, 40 frames, and then, but we're only going to make about 3 or 4 frames, and then use tweening to make the extra frames. This will go pretty fast. And basically we'll just use gradients to make an abstract form, and then what we'll do is that we're going to go. By the way, let me just get this started. We'll just do a 256, 256, and we'll start as RGB. That's very important because what the importance of this lecture or this workshop, is to tell you about how to play with compression. In other words, there are types of compression that lose information, and there's types that don't. We're not so interested in types that don't, except in how much they compress things, make smaller. And lossy ones, we're interested in how much information we lose. And in a GIF, we actually lose a great deal of information because we're taking things from 16.8 million colors down to either 256, 8, or even 4. This creates a lot of really interesting patterns when we wind up animating it. So this is fairly short. This is a 256 by 256 pixel picture, and what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to maybe make 4 layers, and I'll just put this back in the dock and see what's here. Yep, here's layers. I'll put layers back in the dock. And okay, so first of all, one thing I always do is I usually turn the background into a layer by unlocking it. I usually don't have a lot of use for just using pure backgrounds. So that's that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 4 layers. So I'll go down here, and let's see the tooltip, create a new layer, 2, 3, 4. And actually, I'll just fill these. I'll just make sure and fill these with white so there's no transparency. And let's see here. Just go out here, grab the paint bucket tool, and just white. Go over here. White. Go over here. White. Okay. So now we have 4 layers, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a frame animation, which you should probably already know. So we go down here, and if you don't have timeline open, you go up here in Window, turn on timeline. And then all you do, turn frame animation on, and let's just create 4 frames. And actually, I'm going to set the timing on this, and I'm going to select all 4 of these. And if you select everything in an animation, you can set the timing for all frames at the same time. So I'll just go here to 1/10 of a second, and that'll be fine. So All right. So what I'll wind up doing too is that I'll just set up the animation for each of the pardon me, each of the frames. Turn on layer 1 for, turn on layer 0 for the first frame. Turn on layer 1 for the second frame. Turn on layer 2 for the third frame. And turn on layer 3 for the fourth frame. Of course, we're starting at 0, so it looks like we're doing one less. So, okay. So anyway, basically, we have this animation set up. We can't tell what anything looks like because they're all white. So let's just go back here and basically just assign 4 different gradients to this. And really what happens is just going to create things that swirl around and make some patterns. But the thing is that it'll also show us what the how the program tries to deal with so many colors, distinctions in colors when you're trying to minimize them. The overall palette, the total number of colors that you have in an image. So this is what A Bill taught me. So we'll just go down here to the gradient tool. And there's all kinds of stuff here. So what I'm going to do, probably get some pretty wild ones. Let's do a purple. And yeah, let's go here. That's it. Okay. And so let's just go here. Got the gradient. And also remember, you can do all sorts of different types of gradient. So maybe what I'll do is that I'll just do let's get the tooltip on this. A reflected gradient. Okay. Let's take that, go down here to layer 0 where my first frame is. We won't go into how to modify gradients. But let's set up this first one. I have no idea why that didn't work. Okay. Let's see. All right. Let me just double check that I've got the right type of image. And I'm just going to see if I can do a fill just for a moment, just to see what happens. Get the fill bucket. And okay, that works. Okay, so let's just go back to the gradient tool and see what happens here. See what I'm missing. Okay, so that's that. I'll just use the normal gradient, and okay, that should work. Actually, what I might do is I might see what I can do here. I'll just fill this with black, and what I'll do is I'll just invert this. So I'm having some trouble with the gradient tool, so just bear with me. Okay, great. I think it's just darkening at the moment. So, here we go. Screen mode. I need to make it normal. Sorry, that's it. Okay, let's just do what I wanted to do in the first place. Let's do the reflected gradient. Or let's just see what happens when I do that. No. All right, let's just do the reflected gradient. Okay, let's go over here to frame 2. Go over here to layer 1. Let's pick a different gradient. Let's go over here to, I don't know, let's just say reds. And let's make a circular gradient. And it's on normal. We should be fine. That's interesting. Okay, we've got that. We've got that. So let's go over here to frame 3. Let's pick another one yet. So, okay, let's go to blues. And I'll use that one. Okay, so notice we're going back. See, we've got some pretty radically different things here. That's pretty cool. And then actually, I'm going to do a 5th one. And let's just do one more. And I'll do a 5th. Let's see here. That'll be nice. And yeah, that'll be nice in that. And then the way we'll do that is that we'll go back and yep. And then we'll make one more. Turn off the last one. Turn on the first one. So what we're going to do at this point is that we're going to go and just basically select 2 frames, make a tween. And tween basically averages between the 2 frames and creates something that goes from one to the next. So let's just go from 1 to 2 here and see down here, here's this thing with these fading dots. This tweens animation frames, and I don't want to do opacity, and everything should be fine. Okay. That didn't do what I want to do. Let's try it again. Okay, here we go. Position opacity of effects, between with selection, and let's try that. Okay, that works. So really, let's just repeat that with all of these. We've got everything set up, and then see, actually we've got a really cool animation that's basically taking us about 15 seconds to make. So let's just take a look at how this looks. Yep, so you know it's a loop. It's going into transparency, but we'll get rid of that as we go into output. So as far as the animation is concerned, we're done. So here's where the real kind of magic comes. Here's save for web, legacy. So it says output for web and save for web legacy. Legacy means the old type before they came up with the newer version. The reason why I like this is because it allows you to modify all the settings for compression in a GIF. So we've got a GIF here, and I'm not going to say anything about your JPEG or PNG or whatever because we want this to be animated. All the other ones don't animate. And don't worry about a preset. And what we're going to do is that we were at 16.8 million colors. We're going to go down to 8. And what I'm going to do right now is that my favorite right now is either pattern or diffusion. And dithering means basically putting a dot pattern in to try to try to make your eye think that it's looking at something that has a different color than it does, but you're only using like 8 colors. So you can see here on the color table, it has this number of colors. That is just sort of defined. Notice what happened. This now, what they did, became really posterized. It, with this number of layers and all of these colors that we're doing, it's really creating a lot of banding. So let's take a look here with diffusion. Let's look at pattern. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. That's a little bit no, I'm just going to keep that at 100. But if you can see here, I keep forgetting if there's a, yep, if there's a magnifier here. Okay, see what's going on here? You've got a pattern going on. And this is basically trying to average out what you got. So look at that. That's really cool. Imagine if you scaled that up big enough to fill your entire background on a page. That'd be really nice. So let's take a look at all the four types. Here's noise. And notice that's really kind of, and that's kind of cool. It's kind of like snow or sandstorm or whatnot. That's kind of nice. And then let's look at diffusion, which is much more radical. But that's also really interesting. By the way, you know that you can take these animated GIFs into Adobe Premiere or After Effects as clips, and you can play with these in your animations. So let's go down to 4 and see what happens. With diffusion, that's not that fun. Let's go to pattern. It's better, but still not great. I mean, it's really going between pink and purple. And then noise, you probably get something better. But still, remember, we're still doing this color table here, and you can actually modify each of these if you want. But I'm turning transparency off. Well, actually, that put in a nice tan color, which actually kind of expanded that a bit. So really, this is kind of the idea of the whole thing. Let's go to 8 colors. And actually, just to show you, 256 colors doesn't look too bad, actually. You know, you basically almost can't tell. You can tell there's just a little bit of patterning. And then let's go down here to and also there are these other ways of determining a palette. And some of them work better than others, but I'm actually much more interested in the dithering algorithm. See here, actually, with diffusion, it's still pretty cool even at 256. I actually like that a lot. Let's see what happens when we go to 128. Might get a little cooler. Yep. So, you know, I don't really like this whole thing of being, you know, only 4, but I like the banding that this comes about. So I'm actually going to save this in diffusion, but let's see pattern. Yeah, you know, okay, it's better, the pattern is better at low numbers of colors, and so is noise. So, there you go. Also, you can, this amount of dithering, you know, this amount of averaging, you can play with that too. And I really suggest you do. So, and we can also play And really, a lot of this is seeing, oh, that's cool. That actually kind of breaks up the bands and that sort of things. That's kind of cool. Really, a lot of this is just play, improvisation. See what we can do. Look at that. Oh, that's really cool. You've got like a serious glitch going on. You know what? That's art. Okay. Guess what? I'm going to save that. And I'm going to call it AGD357. What is it? D4. Patrick. Z1031. GIF. Remember, I'm not asking you to do 4.1, 4.2, anything like that, because what you're going to show me for your creative website is going to be a PDF, and this is your GIF. So for your multiple submissions, you're going to have a GIF and a JPEG.